Hey there, Dr. JP Guidry here. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Wish a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including my own. Hope all you moms got to give yourself a break, take a day off, and enjoy the day. And just want to remind all the mothers out there to, as moms and as parents in general, we tend to put everything else ahead of our own personal needs and just remind all the moms and the parents out there to the importance of taking care of yourself along with the needs of your family. So a very happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about assessments and assessing what I call assessing the human athlete. I just did a little blog post on my blog at Get Your Golf and Sport about this, but I wanted to kind of put together a little video as well. For me, I think assessments kind of have gotten a bit out of hand when it comes to athletes. I think it tends to turn into a more of a show than an actual data collection. But I do understand the importance of assessing our athletes and reassessing our athletes um, so that we know how to kind of set up the program and how to progress it as we go along. And remembering that every training session, every contact we have with an athlete is a chance to reassess ourselves as a coach, to reassess the program, and to reassess the athlete's mental and physical presentation each time we connect with them. So that's why we assess. What do we assess? So the first part, and for me the most important part, is the subjective. So this is where we're going to get things like their history, their goals, their training experience, injury, medical history, things like that. But more importantly, this is where we're going to get to know the athlete on a personal level, connect with them, learn what they want to change, why they want to change, and learn their personality. And then this helps kind of shape our connection with them, how we're going to coach them, how we're going to go about coaching them, and how we're going to develop that program. And again, in my opinion, this is the most important part, and this is where the majority of my job in the evaluation is done. Secondly, is the objective. For golfers and really all rotational athletes that I work with, I look at a few basic things. So I'm going to look at mobility. So I'm going to look at your ability to disassociate your upper and lower body. I'm going to look at your ability to move through your hips, your thoracic spine, and your shoulder complex. I may dive a little deeper based on your history, injury history, complaints, things like that. But those are going to be the basics I'm going to look at for most rotational athletes. We're going to look at movement and strength. So I'm going to take you through the basic movement patterns: squatting, hinging, lunging, pressing, pulling. And eventually, maybe not day one, but eventually we're going to load those patterns and see how you handle that load and progress it and how it feels and how you move as you start to load it in various ways. Third is going to be power. So this is usually going to be done by some kind of jump, either a vertical jump or a standing long jump, and maybe some kind of medicine ball throw. Also, we can look at things like bar speed with devices like the push band, which I recently purchased, which will kind of allow me to expand my ability to assess speed and power movements. And then, most importantly, especially with the golfer, is swing speed. That's going to be the ultimate litmus test for power development in golf. Lastly, is we're going to look at their swing. So we're going to look at the mechanics of the swing. We're going to look at what the golfer and or the teaching professional are trying to get out of the swing, what changes they're trying to make, what positions they're trying to get to, movements they're trying to create, and match that up to the athlete's physical capabilities where they're at. Um, so TPI talks about this a lot, and James Lights and Hoppy Smith and the professionals that I've been lucky enough to work alongside, kind of feel this way. But I'm a big believer on fitting the swing to the student, the client, rather than trying to fit the client to a certain swing. Um, this is why it is important to understand what that person is physically capable of to start off, so we know what they can and can't do, and where we need to kind of, start to uh, not force things in the swing, and then from the physical side, where they need to make some progress if they're trying to hit certain positions or certain movements that they can't currently do. And this also tells us where we can set realistic goals and time frames on, what it's going to take to get there. And this is what the objective data tells us. This is what that objective testing tells us. Like the golf swing, like most movements, is on a continuum. So you can get the client to improve their physical capabilities to better perform the, quote unquote ideal swing, or where you're trying to get them to make their swing more efficient. But you're still going to have to meet the client with where they're at physically, where they're at mentally, how ready they are to put in the work necessarily. So if they're trying to make these big changes, making sure they understand the work needed for that. And if they're not willing or don't have the time, then we may have to make changes in our approach. So you've got to be able to sit down with the athlete and set these realistic goals and have that conversation from a golf swing mechanics side, as well as from a physical development side. Um, there's work in making changes in both those areas, in time and schedule, and all those things go into it. Um, and with golfers, let's not forget that from a skill development standpoint, there's a lot of basics they can work on regardless of where they're at physically. We can work on the skills of low point control, face contact and control, swing tempo, setup. All these things are things that they can work on regardless of where they're at physically. And improving any physical trait, whether that be the golf swing mechanics, skills of golf, strength and power development, mobility, flexibility, weight loss, etc., is never a linear process. It's always a dynamic process that changes and morphs with the client's progress, with their changes in their lifestyle, job changes, schedule changes, family changes, their emotional state, changes in their personal goals. And so as coaches, we have to understand that, our athletes, our clients are human beings. They're going to deal with the same issues that all human beings deal with, regardless of, what level of athlete they are. Even at the highest level, they still have relationship issues and family issues and lifetime, day-to-day stressors. And so all that's going to change how the program's going to go from a micro standpoint for that day, as well as a macro standpoint, as where we're trying to get them and where they're trying to go and where they want to go. And so this is the importance of performing both the objective and subjective assessments and continuing to uh, perform these. So the objective data matters. That tells us where we're heading physically. That tells us where the program is it effective, or where it may be effective, where it may not be effective, where we need to make changes. But having conversations with our athletes and sitting down with them and doing that subjective assessment is very important as well. And we can't forget that point. So, that's kind of my take on assessing the athlete, and treating the athlete, looking at the athlete as a human being. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at johnpaul@guidrypt.com.